Welcome to Data Cynics. Today we are going to learn how to do a VLOOKUP and a multi-column VLOOKUP in Excel. VLOOKUP stands for vertical lookup. Simply, it is an Excel function that can be used to find a corresponding values based on the values in a selected column from another table. Let me explain by going into Excel. Here we have a table with employee details where I have employee ID, last name, first name. And I have another tab which is called salary where I have the pay information for each employee. But what I have here is the employee ID. So if someone wants to see this information in one sheet, we need to bring in the salary detail into this table. So in real world, you will not have a smaller tables with few lines like this. You will, if you are working somewhere or if you are working with a large data set for a project, you will have many lines and many columns in your data set. So if you want to bring in data like in something like this, very simply you can look at and type, but practically to handle large data sets, VLOOKUP function is very useful when where we can bring in this data. So only thing what you need to have is unique value that we need to have in both tables. Like in this case, you have employee ID in both tables. So you can match these two and give the command to Excel to bring in values relevant to each employee ID to this table. So how we do this is we use the function called VLOOKUP. So this is, I am using a MacBook, so this is the version of Excel in MacBook, but you will see the formula builder even in the Windows computers. And you will see this VLOOKUP on top if you recently used, but otherwise it will be under all formulas so that it's alphabetically arranged. If you want to bring it in, you can type V and then you will see all the formulas starting with letter V, and we see VLOOKUP here. So you double click on this. When you do that, you will see this table appear, and also in the ribbon below to the ribbon you will see the formula bar. Here you have the VLOOKUP and with the parenthesis. That is where when you get used to this, you can type the conditions here separated by a comma and create this VLOOKUP formula easily. But for now we will use this box so that it will be guide us step by step. The first thing is like you need to have your cell selected correctly where you want to have the formula. So in this case I have selected D2. That is where it's going to make a reference from D2. So now then we have to give what we need to look up. It need to look up the employee ID. So I have to make sure I'm selecting the employee ID from the right row. If you have a big table and like many rows, you might get confused, and if you selected a wrong row, then your data will be, what is pulling here will be misaligned. So you have to make sure you select the correct cell relevant to this cell that you selected for the formula. So this is the value, employee value I need to bring in. And then I have to give the table array. So you have to click on this, then it's ready to pick up the table array. So if you have the data in the same table, same sheet, different table, you can still use. But in this case, I have it in a different tab. So as I said, when I click on this, it know that it has to go through the same path that I am guiding through. So now it picked the correct tab name. Now, the important thing is we have to select the table. I would recommend always selecting the entire table, like selecting the entire column by column, so that it's very unlikely that you make a mistake in defining a table. So if you select like this, it took entire column A, entire column B. If you define a table, you have to make sure you fix the table with the dollar sign. Otherwise, when we copy down the formula, it will go row by row down, and then you will not see the correct data that you want to see. So once I select, the other thing, important thing here is always you have to have the value column that you are going to bring values right to the VLOOKUP lookup column. So always it should be in right, so that we can calculate the index based on our lookup value column. So in this case it's right, it's into the right. But if it is not, we have to swap the columns and we have to fix that first. So now here, because it's right, it's column A and B. I selected the entire column, and then the column index number, as I said, column index is, this is 1. If we are bringing the same value, it's 1, and if not, it's, you have to select what is the index number. Sometimes your column might be sitting somewhere here, then you have to calculate what is the column number, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, then you have to give the index as 7. It doesn't have to be next to each other, but it should be to the right. So I'm giving the index number as 2, and the range lookup here, it is, this is optional field. If this as, and also this is a logical field, that means it's true or false, 0 or 1. If you put nothing here, it think it's true, and it takes as true, which means it's trying to give you a close match, meaning it's not going for the exact match, it's going to do an approximate match, which means like if you don't have exact number, it's going to get a number from something closer to it, which is not the case we want in this type of data migration from one file to another. There are situations that I might discuss that in a different video, but most of the cases in your work, I would say 95% of the time, you will need to have false here or 0, because you need an exact match. Otherwise, you will not know you are getting data which is not right. Okay, so now when I click on done, I got the values here, and I can do select and do Control D, or I can drag it from the when the cross appears, I can drag it down. So I pasted numbers down, and I recommend always do a cross check after doing a VLOOKUP, just to make sure we did not misalign the rows or did any mistake in typing, selecting the index or anything like that, because we are dealing with lot of data. If something goes wrong, our all insights that we make from data will be wrong. So let's see, Tiger Woods, which is 611810, has 64,757. 611810, 64,757, which is right. So the next VLOOKUP, which I said is we are going to look at, is multi-column VLOOKUP. That is when we do not have exact unique ID column between the two tables. Now this, we have the service number of years of service here, but we do not have employee ID column. So for me to bring that information here, I don't have a unique column, but I have the last name first name in both, last name first name, but I can't use one name. Like as you see, we have 4 Johns. if I bring the values in, it will not refer the correct row. So then I need to make a unique column to bring the values. In this case, I'm going to do the first name, last name combination. So we insert a column and do a concatenation. So I name this concat names for me to identify later. I know what is in this column. So concatenation, you can use the concatenation function, or you can also just use the ampersand. So here I'm using ampersand, which I like. I don't have to worry about closing parentheses and all those. So now I have a unique name created. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Now, important thing again, which I would like to call out, you can't create this name concatenation here, because then that right rule is not met, right? So we do not have our values to bring in onto the right of the column. So because of that, I'm going to insert a column here, and I'm going to do the concatenation. You also can insert somewhere here, it doesn't matter. You don't have to, these two columns doesn't have to be next to each other, but it should be on to the right. So I'm going to create here. These names does not have to be same, it doesn't have any impact. I just do it so that I can know what is this later. So I'm just doing concatenation using ampersand and click on the cross and then copy down. So now I have a unique column. So now I go here, I place my cursor in the right cell and select the VLOOKUP function, and I'm giving the condition which I'm going to look up is the concatenated name, which is D2, and the table array. I click on this one and go to the table. So now I'm not going to select from here, I'm going to select from this is always, we have to select the lookup column as the first column. That is a must. And to the right, it can be even anywhere, but it should be to the right. So that's why we select the column to right, and then we call this index 1, index 2 likewise. So I selected this, and again in our case it's the index 2 because it's the second column. And here, as I said, we are going to update false because we need the exact match. Once it's done, I'm saying done, and also you see it's the same thing, it's separated by the comma. And I click down, and let's see if we did this right. So 12 years, John Wick is 12 years, has a 12 years of service, John Wick, which is right. Okay, so our VLOOKUP worked. So that's how we do a simple VLOOKUP and also a multi-column VLOOKUP. Hope this helped you to get the basic idea and how to do a VLOOKUP. Please subscribe to my channel for quick videos like this for data analytics. Bye for now.